Okay, let's move on. And I just want to say really briefly, just before we do, if you've chosen the share sale affiliate route, um, I'm not going to be covering how to insert a share sale affiliate banner in these videos. The content that I covered previously should be enough to get you up and going. I'm going to make the assumption that you will know enough about how to put a banner with its necessary code onto your web page to implement that. It's really not a difficult process. So if you want to use a share sale banner, but you do not know how to put the banner and code onto your web page, this is something that I would suggest that you contact your local web page development person or technical support person. There's also technical support email, website, and phone number for ShareSale that you can reach on this page. You might be able to ask them about some of that information as well. So from this point forward, we're really just going to be dealing with doing TradeBit web page editing and related. So let's just jump into that right away. And I want you to understand that in video number 2, in the material that we're going to be presenting now, everything that you're going to be learning, everything that I'm going to be teaching you, these methods and techniques, very, very simple, very fast and easy to do. These things that you're learning now, you'll be able to apply in all of the content that we cover from this point forward. It was important to me that you felt that you would be able to use as much of the content from my existing web page and web pages that you wanted to, or as little. It's really dependent on you. So if we actually go, for instance, to the main page, I wanted you to feel free that you could borrow any of the content that you see on our main or sub pages. This is important, I think, because for you on your web page, as you have traffic and customers flowing through your site, as they become interested in your new product offering, Sound of Stars Frequencies, they may have a lot of questions. And it might be beneficial for you and for them to present them with content and material that will answer those questions. And to that end, I want you to feel free to borrow any of the contents that you see from our websites as you see fit. And you're very, very welcome to take any of the text-based material. You might want to present it in a different kind of layout, different kind of graphic presentation. I'm totally okay with that. You can use any of our current web pages as they are, as a workable template, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So for instance, let's say if on your website you want to have information that's related to the science behind it all. So we'll come down to that subpage. And when one of your potential customers wants to get a handle on what's behind this information, you can use this page exactly as it is. So the formatting, the layout, the graphics, it's just that this will reside on your web page and it will stay enclosed within your web page. So this is the kind of thing that you can do, but you could also go through this particular page and you could pull content from it. You could pull a little bit of content or all of the content, and then you could put it into a completely, say, different graphic layout. You might want it to be a page template that's more similar to what you've already got on the rest of your website. That's okay. Whatever you want to do. The only thing that I do ask is that whether you use our existing web material as it is, or if you're going to change it somewhat. And a thing that's very important to me and to soundofstars.org is product distinction. We want Sound of Stars Frequencies to be distinct and unique in the marketplace because they actually are. And so what that means is you're very welcome to use our materials as they are, or you can adapt them to the framework of your own graphic layout. But what I would ask is that don't place our Sound of Stars materials on a web page where you're also promoting other products or competing products. We don't really feel like any other audio therapies really can compete with what we do, how we, and how we do what we do. But we don't want to be in a situation where we're being, associated with product that, we don't really see a fit with, or that we don't think is an appropriate fit. Like for instance, a hypnosis CD is a great product. It can be a great idea, and we don't discourage people using it. We would encourage people from using other kinds of modalities of help. But what we're doing is not hypnosis, and we don't want people to think hypnosis when they see Sound of Stars frequencies. So, for example, if you go to our catalog, by way of example, you'll notice that on our catalog we have a number of different items, both individual frequency items as well as collections. So if you were to take our catalog as it appears here, which you're very welcome to do, and download it from our server, edit it, and then upload it to your server, and then market it so that these products get tracked and you get a commission from it, you're welcome to use this template, this layout, but don't put non-Sound of Stars frequencies in this page, in this catalog. Now, that's not to say that we're telling you you can't sell other products that are not from us on your webpage. Of course you can, and we encourage you to do that. If you have like a range of product types and you market all kinds of different products that are not coming from us, you're very welcome to do that. What we're saying is just don't mix them on the same page. So we want our product to be distinct on its own page by itself, and that means that there's no mention of other products that might try to compete with us, or that would be whatever, on the same page. So no links, no graphics, no text. Keep our products separate. It has its own little shelf, its own little part in your online virtual store. Other than that, you're free to you're free to use any of the materials that we have. So I just wanted to point that out. Let's go back. So we're back on the affiliates page, and we're going to start focusing on step number 2. We're going to start focusing on step number 2, and this is enabling your first product marketing page. Now, for the remainder of this video, I want to cover essentially what you need to do to get a product page up. And there's a few steps involved, so we're going to cover that. So let's proceed then with step 2, assuming that you have a TradeBit affiliate account type. And here what we're going to do is we're going to enable your first product marketing page. Now, this isn't going to be, in step 2, putting up the entire Sound of Stars website content material onto your website. All we're going to do is we're just going to get a single page up on your website that looks clean, attractive, and lets you sell some, but not all, of the Sound of Stars frequencies. Basically, the point of this is to get you and your customer base introduced and comfortable with the product. It gives you a chance to see what it's like to do very simple, easy, quick edits. It gives you a chance to see how well your own customer base will respond to the product. So really, it's a great way to just get into the water, like just test it, try it out. It's like a trial run. Now, everything that you learn, as I mentioned before in this video, is going to enable you for getting everything else up. And I want to show you right away some differences that are going to occur in how we're going to manage them in the first product page that we're going to offer. Now, here is what your product page will look like when you first set it up initially. And this is the original product page on our website. You're going to notice a few differences. One is you see down here the horizontal line. We have a fairly extensive menu. You'll also notice that if I scroll down on this page, when I get down to the purchase and transaction links, you'll see that there's a few different options. And these are options that you're not going to be presenting with your customers on your website, but that's okay, and I'll explain what's happening. You'll see here, this is a PayPal direct link, and this one is a TradeBit link. So only the TradeBit links, not the direct PayPal links, are going to be showing on your web page. And you'll also notice that your menu will only have one menu tab, not like half a dozen. So this is what your initial page is going to look like. You see that there are not a bunch of menu tab options. There's only the one. And if you come down to the purchase options, you'll see that the purchase options are much more streamlined. And they're only showing the TradeBit access costs. And obviously, you've got the individual items here as well. Now keep in mind that you're offering the discount prices to your customers, so that's pretty attractive as well. And this sale price that you see here, you get 40% of that on every single sale that's sold through TradeBit. TradeBit takes 20% as their transact fee on every item sold, but for the services that they provide, it's actually the most reasonable for everything that we get for that we've been able to find in the marketplace. Now let's talk a little bit about the menu tab up at the top here. How come on your initial product page that you're going to place on your website, there's only one menu tab showing? How come on our page we've got a whole bunch of menu tabs showing? Well, the reason for that is this. Every single one of these tabs points to a web page. So if I click on Tour, it goes to a web page called Tour. But you're not going to have that Tour page on your server initially right away. We're going to be providing that, over time. In other words, what you want to do is you just want to get a single page up that has some information that your customers can look at and you can sell some product. This is your test or trial run. So we don't actually, once we get this product page up, we won't actually have any of these subpages up on your server initially, but we will add them over time if that's what you decide to do. And so that's why on your product page, you'll see that you've only got the one menu tab. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a series of text edits on this particular page to get it enabled so that it can run properly on your website and so that you can sell product and have those products tracked of their sales so that you get the commission. And this little menu tab, when you click on Home, instead of it going to our site, soundofstars.org, it's going to go back to your main homepage. But we have to go through this particular page and do a few things to it to get it ready to go and set up, enabled, so that it can actually allow you to make sales on your website. And that's what we're going to be focusing on now. So the process that you're going to use to enable this product sales page on your website is really, really simple, and it's the same basic process that you'll be using for any of the pages. And basically, all you're going to do is you're simply going to download files from our server, so our presence on the internet. You're going to download it from remote hard drives that are storing our web-based content. You're going to download it to your computer or your local hard drive. When you download it to your hard drive or your local computer, once it's there, you're going to make very simple edits. You're going to save those files that you've edited, and then you're going to upload it to your server where your web pages are stored. So a few assumptions are made here. One, you already have your own website and or pages that you're going to be adding our content to as additional components or additional pages, subpages, or you are going to be acquiring your own internet server and you're setting up your own website. Now, however you want to do it, if you want to integrate our materials into an existing website you have, that's fine. If you don't have a website right now, then you can certainly get one. I recommend Bluehost.com mainly because they do a good job for me and the price is really reasonable. This isn't a plug, I don't benefit by recommending them, like I'm not in business with them other than they host my account, but I found that they do a good job. And so however you have your internet presence set up, wherever your website is and or however it's housed, you're going to be editing files that you get from us and you're going to be uploading it to that. So some basic assumptions are made. One is that you have a fundamental level understanding of using your computer. In other words, you know how to edit, copy, paste, you know how to open and save files. Hopefully you have an understanding of FTP and FTP related matters. If you do, then this will all make sense to you, and if you don't, then there's a very good chance, if you follow this video closely, that you'll understand how to do it. Because I'm going to show you how to do FTP. So my guess is that this video will probably be sufficient for you. And if you go through this video and you feel like much of this information is way over your head, you're probably best off then to try to contact your local technical support person and have them go over this material with you. They'll be able to understand what to do, and they can give you a hand. And depending on our time constraints, if you need a more than normal amount of technical support, we may be able to give you a hand over and above past this video. But if that's the case, if any time and effort is required on our part, to do that basic, those basic operations for you, then likely there will be a fee for that. But you need to determine for yourself, where your knowledge base is at and what your time constraints and etc. are, and then go from that place. So the very first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at using an FTP client software application. And FTP just means File Transfer Protocol. Basically, you need to get files from our server to your computer, edit them, then upload them back to your server so that your server can then display that information. And that's really what we're going to be going over here. So on step 2 on our affiliates page, you'll see it says enabling your first product marketing page. It's asking if you do not currently have an FTP client application, or if you don't know if you have one, then with your mouse right click this link and then choose Save As. So place your mouse over that link, and then with the right mouse button, click, and you see there's a little pop-up menu that pops up. Choose File, Save Link As, and then you'll see that a little Save As menu screen will pop up, and it shows you a file name, Commander FTP.exe. There's lots of different FTP software out there. This is one that I like because it's fairly easy to use. It's free and it does a good job, very reliable. Now, what you would do is you would save this. I recommend you save it either to your hard drive at the root level, so drive C, or you can download it and save it, say, if you want, to your desktop. But I'd suggest drive C. Now, for this tutorial, I'm using Windows XP, and what I'm covering here is valid if you're on an XP system, and also if you're on Vista or Windows 7. Some of the very minor things might be a little bit different, but this will only be in adaptation to your operating system. So while I'm using XP here, everything I'm doing you should be able to do just fine in Windows XP, or Vista. But you need to be familiar with how your system works. But basically, I'm saving it here. I'm saving it to a folder that later I can access that folder from. And if you're using a Mac, now usually you go save. I didn't save it because I've already got the file. So you go right click, save link as. that little window pops up, you should be clicking on the Save button. So you'd click on it, but I'm not going to do that here because I've already got it installed. Now, if you're using a Macintosh, you won't be able to use that FTP application because it's for a PC, unless you have a special PC set up on your Mac. Probably most of the Mac users out there that may be watching this don't. You need to use a Mac-based FTP client. I don't provide technical support for Mac in this video, so if you require Mac-based tech support, we encourage that you locate that and take advantage of it, or just use the FTP application that you already have on your Mac. If you have trouble right-clicking on that link and saving it, you can also just normally click on this link. You can either just left-click on it. In this case, I'm just going to open it in a new window. And you'll see that you've got a folder that opens up. And the item here, commander.ftp.exe, shows. And so what you can do is just place your mouse over it. Again, right-click with your mouse, save link as, and then you'll get the same pop-up menu box. And you would go ahead and click on Save. But again, I'm not going to do that here. Okay, so there's instructions and text on the affiliates page too that steps you through this. And I'm just going to scroll past that. Okay, now once you've downloaded this file, go ahead and install it. You need to know how to do that. So if you're using, say, Windows XP, you go into File Explorer, and this will be similar to how you would do it in Windows Vista. If you're using XP, this might be blank when you open it up, so just type in Explorer. And then if you'd saved it to your hard drive, you'd want to go down to My Computer, click on your hard drive, and then you could go like Sort, make sure it's sorted on name, and then just scroll down and you'll see Commander FTP there. And I haven't saved it here because I've already installed it. But when you find it, you just basically double click on it and you go ahead and install it. Now, I'm going to assume that you know how to install software because I won't be covering how to install a basic software application. But once you've installed the FTP application, it should show up in Windows. So here it shows up in my bar there, or underneath my Programs menu. So it shows up here for me. And what you need to do is, once that's installed, is you need to set up your account. So here are your FTP account settings. And we have to enter these settings directly into our FTP client. So let's go back to our start, and then we're going to choose FTP Commander. After it's been installed, we're just going to load it, execute it, run the program. That's what the screen looks like when it comes up. Now basically FTP Commander is the equivalent conceptually to Windows Explorer. So what you're seeing here, FTP Commander, it looks very similar to Windows Native Explorer, doesn't it? This is the Explorer that I use to navigate my local computer, so my actual hard drive and or hard drives that are on the system. And you'll have something similar to this in Windows Vista or Windows 7. But this is only for my local hard drive. It only lets me manage files and folders on my local hard drive. But I need to be able to communicate between my hard drive and the remote server. So files and folders have to go back and forth. And that's what FTP Commander is. You can see that it looks very similar to Windows Explorer. So on the left, I've got my local hard drive. So you can see that here is a drop-down box, and it lets me select what the different drives are on my local hard drive. And on the right, these are the different servers, remote servers on the internet that I can use. So what we have to do is we have to set up an account on the right. Now when you first load FTP Commander after you've installed it, chances are there probably isn't very much on the right hand side. I've got a bunch here that I use. Now what you want to do is create two items. First item that I'm going to suggest that you make is go to your hard drive. And for those of you that might be using Mac, you can follow along with this information because the basic ideas that I'm presenting here, you're going to be basically doing this on your Mac. You'll just be doing it in a slightly different way. So it's of value even to Mac users to follow along with the basics of what I'm doing, because you should be able to just translate what we're doing on the PC platform function-wise onto your Mac. So the steps that we're taking still apply to Mac users, but you'll just be executing those steps as you would on the Mac. So on my local hard drive, I want to create a folder where I'm going to save files to from the server I'm downloading from, and I'm going to use this folder that I create on my local hard drive to make my edits in so that it's all neat and tidy. So I'm just going to double click on the root directory, and then I'm going to come up here, I'm going to go make dir, which basically is just making a new folder. I'm just going to click on it, and you can call it whatever you want, but I'm just going to call it edits, and I'll click OK. You see, there I am. I've got the folder there in edits, and it's blank. There's nothing in there. So I've made my first local folder that I'm going to be doing my work in. And now what I want to do is I want to be able to access the remote server for Sound of Stars, because I need to pull files down from there. So I'm going to click on New Server, and you'll see there's a little window that pops up. Now what we need to do is we need to put information in these fields, and the information that we put in those fields is going to come from our affiliates webpage here. So the affiliate FTP username is the very first value in the table. So I'm just going to select that, and then I'm going to copy it. So you can go Control-C if you're using a PC, or just right-click with your mouse and choose Copy, and then come back down to FTP Commander. Click in the name field, right-click, and paste it. Come to the user ID, highlight you don't want anonymous, you want to delete what's in the user ID. So highlight that, and you can delete it. Just hit your delete key, and then right-click with your mouse and paste. Now come down and click in FTP server. We need to enter information from that, so we'll go back to the affiliates page. We're going to choose FTP server here. And again, we want to copy this. So we select it and right-click with our mouse, copy, or just Control-C, however you want to copy and paste. And then come back to FTP Commander, and then type in FTP server again. And we want to enter our password. Now, just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to take this option off. And it doesn't matter whether you have it on or off. It's entirely your preference. So I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to come back to the web page. I'm going to find the password entry in the table. So the password is here. So again, I'm going to select it with my mouse. And then I can go Control-C, or I hold the Control key down and tap the C key, or I can just right-click with my mouse and click Copy. And then I'm going to come back to FTP Commander, and I'm going to click in the password field, and then I'm going to right-click and paste. And there's my password, and then I'm going to save this. You see I have a little icon that shows up here. Now you only have to do that once for this account, for this folder. So now what you're going to do is you're going to place your mouse on top of it and double click, and you'll see that when you double click on it, there's a bunch of files that appear. So you now have access. You're now in our server where the files are that you need. So now what I want you to do is, with your mouse, click on the first item, hold your Shift key down, and then click on the last item, and then all of the files are selected. And you don't have to use a Shift key. If your Shift key isn't working or you do it differently on the mouse, then don't worry. You can what you want to do is you want to transfer all of these files over to here. So you can do it one at a time, or you can, however you want to do it. I just find that it's easy to do them all at the same time. So you click on the first one on the PC, hold your Shift key down, click on the last one. Now these buttons down here are your transfer buttons. So you want to go from the server to your local hard drive into the edits folder. So you've already selected the files. So now you're going to go to this button here, the directional arrow. I'm going to click on that, and it will begin to transfer all of the files over to your local hard drive. This will take a few moments. It'll let you know when it's done. So just wait, well, less than probably 2 or 3 minutes, and they'll all be deposited into your edits folder. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go on and do our actual edits. So just wait until this box disappears on its own. Just let it run through its courses. And it will just, when it's finished, it'll just disappear, and you'll see all of your files. All of these files here will then show in this folder. And it will take a few minutes because there's quite a few files that it has to transfer. Now, once we've transferred the files from the remote server to our local hard drive, we're going to minimize FTP Commander because we don't need it right at the moment. We'll come back to it, but we don't need it right now. So we're going to minimize that. And we've already entered in our access information. So we're looking again at the affiliates page. We're ready to go, and we're going to continue on with our edits now so that we can get our first product page offering up and ready to go. So we're going to start actually editing the HTML or web files associated with this web page so we can get it up and running on your site. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go into our Explorer window, or whatever you're using to navigate on your hard drive. And you see again, it's very similar to the FTP Commander. So I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to locate the folder that I downloaded the files to. And remember, we made the folder called Edits, or whatever it was you decided to call it. I click on that, and I can see all of the files that I downloaded. Now I'm just going to sort this. I'm going to go to View, Details, so I can actually see this in a different perspective, easier. The first file that we're going to work with is u.htm, this file here. And the reason that we're going to work with that is because that u.htm file is the main information page for our first product offering, the self-actualization site, which is this one. So u.htm, that's the one that we're going to be working with. Now we need to open this with Notepad or some kind of editor that will let us save it as a very basic text file, but with an HTML file extension, because you'll see that this has a file extension of HTML. So I click on that with my mouse, I right click, and that little flyout menu comes up and it says Open With. I'm going to choose Notepad. Now again, if you're working on a Mac or Windows Vista or Windows 7, you'll have something equivalent to this. So basically what I'm doing right now, it works exactly the same on anyone operating a Windows XP system, Windows Vista, Windows 7, but there might be slight variations in how you're doing what I'm doing. And if you're on a Mac, again, you might be using a different application, but you want to use a text editor. So I'm going to use Notepad here. I click on Notepad. And then the actual contents of that web page comes up. I'm going to maximize the screen. Now, all you have to do in here is change essentially two things. And those two things that you have to change are replacing our existing domain name, which is soundofstars.org, here, with your own. And it's like that for any of our web pages, because when you're putting content up on your site, you don't want them, when you're using a TradeBit account, shooting off to our website. You want to keep them on your website. So what we're going to do is we're just going to replace the occurrence of our website name with your own. And then the other thing that we're going to take a look at is your product links. And this is about as tough as it's going to get. So this is down here. This is a purchase link that's actually in the web page, and we're going to be altering that. But let me just go back here, and I want to show you what our product links actually look like. If you go back to our affiliates page that we were on, and remember the affiliates page is just the one that you got off the main menu from soundofstars.org, where it just said affiliates. So it's this page here. Again, this is the page that you'll be using for any kinds of updates or directions. So under step 2, find step 2, just scroll down on page 2. Remember we were looking at settings for FTP? Scroll down past settings, and I want you to come to this section where it says examples for webmasters, how the tracking cookie code for sales actually looks and works. This is probably the most important thing that you need to know about and understand when you're just setting your pages up, for selling product. And don't feel, if you're not familiar with HTML, don't feel like this is kind of scary or very techy. It's really pretty simple. So I'm going to ask you to just, if you're freaking out because you're seeing HTML code, don't, because you don't have to know how to program. You don't have to know how to do HTML code. The process is just it's ridiculously simple. It's so simple. So just hang in there with me. Notice that there's a link with blue tags on it. So this is essentially the text that you're going to be editing. And I've actually done a lot of this already for you, so it's really going to be super simple. Let's take a look at how our direct sales links actually look and discuss a bit how they operate. When we're changing actual sales transaction links in our web pages, they're always going to take a certain form. And once you become familiar with that form, it'll be really super easy to change them, especially since whenever you change them, you don't have to change them one at a time. You can do like a global replace, but we'll talk about that. So as an example, you'll notice here at the top is a file that's pointing to a frequency track called Biosparkorama MP3. So that's its title. And then you'll see there's a number right next to it, and that's its product ID number. Now, you don't have to really worry about too much of any of this. This link that you're looking at here is what a direct sales link would look like if somebody was only coming to my site, not to an affiliate site. So that's the link that would always be presented to a direct buyer. However, you as the affiliate would have a different looking URL or link, slightly modified. But the only difference is you'll see that here where it says file detail has been replaced by this string, the visit PHP, and then there's a number, the 139251, and then the word product, and then a few little forward slashes with a hyphen inside of it. So that's what's being modified there. So the number that you see here, the 139251, is an affiliate number that's been inserted. You can see how the product number stays the same, where it's like the 911, right? It's the same number, but the only difference is this little text insert that's basically showing that there's a visit happening, and then there's the affiliate number. Now, I'm using this number as an example. That is not the number that you will be entering. The number that you will be entering in that place will be the number that you got when you signed up for your own TradeBit affiliate account in the first video. So you should have by now signed up as a TradeBit affiliate using the methods outlined in the first video on the affiliates page from the Sound of Stars site. And that number that they issued to you, you should have saved, written it down, saved it someplace. That is the number that you're going to insert here, and it will always be the same over and over and over again. What will change is this, because you're going to be selling different products. So this will always be a different product ID number, but your affiliate number will always stay the same. Now, take a look at this last line. It says visit.php, your affiliate ID number goes here, product. That string is the only string that you're ever going to have to worry about doing a replace on when you're doing any kind of updates for our web pages. So let's go back and take a look at how this works. Now, for the purpose of example only, I'm going to be using this number, the 139251, as my example affiliate number. So whenever you're seeing me do stuff, I'm going to be using that number to replace things, but don't use the 139251. Do use your own affiliate number. So we're going to come back to the file that we're working on, which is the u.htm file. And you see here, I've already done the work for you. I've already gone in and put in the visit.php, your affiliate ID number goes here. That's, this part here is all you have to replace. And you replace it with that affiliate number. Now there's different ways of doing it. However you want to proceed is up to you. But I'm going to make some recommendations. The first thing I'm going to say is you can do a manual search one at a time, or you can do a global replace. But let's just, for the sake of ease, let's go back and we're going to just copy this. Your affiliate ID number goes here. Now I'm going to copy it from here. You're going to probably want to type it in. So I'm at the beginning of my documents in Notepad. I'm going to go Edit, and I'm going to go Find, and I'm going to type in your affiliate ID number goes here, and it's going to show me the first occurrence of a TradeBit sales link in the document. So there it is. And understand that these links that we're looking at, just to give you a sense of perspective, that actual line that we're on is literally the code, and I'll show you here, for one of the purchase buttons. So when we're actually taking a look at our page, wherever we see these Buy Now buttons, that's what we're editing right now. So that's what we're actually inside of. The code that's hidden inside that button is what's in this file. So that button is this link. So what we need to do is we need to delete that and replace it with our affiliate number. And we can do that one at a time, or we can do it via global replace. But I'm going to make this really simple for you. Go to Edit and Replace. Make sure that you've typed in that text. Your affiliate ID number goes here. So it should be exactly as it's shown. Your affiliate ID number goes here. And you're going to replace it with your affiliate account number. So I'm going to use the example one that we have here. So I'm just going to copy that. and then I'm going to paste it. Click, right click, paste. And for your case, you'll just type the number in. So you've typed in this, your affiliate ID number goes here, and then you've typed in your affiliate number, and then just go replace all. It'll take a few seconds because there's quite a few links. And when it's stopped replacing, just close the window, and you'll see that the entire document has now been updated to reflect all of the sales links so that they point to the product, but they'll credit you with your commission. So we want to save this as our updated file. File, save. Now the last thing that we want to do in here is we just want to change our domain name. So obviously it shouldn't be soundofstars.org. You should replace this entirely with your domain name. Now, for the purpose of example, I'm going to use a domain name, and just imagine that the domain name is the one that you're using. So I'm going to just copy that because I want that gone. And so I highlight Sound of Stars. And then I right-click, copy, and then I'm just going to click up at the very top of the document, take that off. I'm going to go Edit, down to Replace, and I'm going to paste I hit the home key, soundofstars.org, because I don't want that in there. And then I'm going to click in here, delete that, hit the delete key, and I'm going to type in my domain name. Like, just, I'm going to type in a domain name, and just instead of what I'm typing in here, you would type in your domain name. So let's say, just for example, that your domain name happened to be spiralstars.com, and then again, just replace all. And it takes a few seconds. And you see it's replacing all of the different occurrences. And when it's done, again, just close it and go File, Save. Now close the file. And we're going to go and edit the next file that we need, which is disclaimer.shtm. So go to that file, and this is again in your file manager, application that you're using. And the reason that we're going to edit this file, I'll just show you really quickly here. You're going to be uploading these to your server, not to the Sound of Stars server, but to your server. There's a link on this page, and the link is right underneath how do I get the frequencies. So when someone clicks on this, it takes them to a disclaimer page. So I click on that, and you'll see that the disclaimer page pops up, and they have to click on that to continue, and when they click on that, they'll go back to the product page. But this is all on the Sound of Stars, so we've just been redirected away from your server towards a Sound of Stars site, and that's not what we want to do. That's not going in the right direction. And also you'll see that it has a menu at the top, but we haven't enabled the menu yet. So we have to modify a version of this page from this link so that it stays on your server. So to do this, we're going to go back into our Explorer window. We're going to find our copy of the disclaimer s.htm. We're going to right click on it with the mouse. We're going to go Open with Notepad. We'll maximize this window. And we're going to change all occurrences of soundofstars.org and replace it with our own. So essentially, there's no TradeBit links, there's no purchase links to edit in here. The only thing we have to edit is the domain name. So we're just going to go Edit, Replace, and we're going to make sure the soundofstars.org is in there. And then we're going to enter in whatever our domain name would be, but again, I'm using as an example Spiral Stars. So I type in spiralstars.com, and I'm just going to replace this. And so it replaces all of the references. And then I'm going to save this. And then I can close it. And for the most part, that's it. My files are now edited, and I can now upload them to my server, and I'll have access, to my first product page and all of its product offerings. So to do that, I come back down to FTP Commander, and I disconnect from the local server. So I'm no longer on the Sound of Stars server, and I'm going to go to my own website. And you should have set up your own server in here as well. So if you already have a web, you should have an FTP access route to your own server. And if you don't know what that is, or don't know how to have that in place or how to set it up, call whoever you deal with that houses your internet website and ask them about how do you have your FTP server set up. You'll need to get the configuration information from it. So you click on, again, new server. If you don't already have it set up, you enter in your information. If you already have a website and you already have your FTP server configuration information, then just enter that information in here and save it likewise. But for the purpose of example, I'm just going to say that, let's say that your server was Spiral Stars. You've already entered in all of your information. And so you double click on it. And for Bluehost, we usually keep our distribution files under a given folder, which is public_HTML. So I'm going to double click on that. And this is a blank server that we're hosting, so there's really not much on it, using this again for the purpose of example. But the point is, you just want to be on your server wherever you're going to be distributing or providing the files from. So it should be the root. You should be placing these files off the root folder, the main folder that you use for distributing. So we're going to come back here to our edits folder on the hard drive, and we're just going to choose all of our files. So I click on the first file and then shift, or you can do it one at a time, but I'm going to grab all of these files. I don't have to transfer the Commander FTP file, so I'm going to take that off. So I've selected all of the files that I want to send over. You should choose the folders, the AFF quick images, movie promos, the answer.txt, disclaimer s.htm, u.htm, the umenu.txt. Just select all of those, and then you're going to hit the upper arrow. Before we were downloading, which was the lower arrow, but this time we're uploading, which is the right pointing arrow. So you're going to click on that. And now what it's going to do is it's going to shoot off, upload all of the files that you've just edited and saved. You should have made sure that you saved all of your edits in Notepad as well. But now you're just going to save this and upload it directly to your root folder. And that'll take just a few minutes for it to do. And then once it's done, you can actually go to your own website and simply type in the new link, and it'll come up. So now, in our case, we're using the example domain of spiralstars.com. So the actual web link would be spiralstars.com/u.htm. So that's the actual link that gets us to the page that we've just modified. in your case, of course, it would be something different. So, if your website was called, yogameditation.com, then the new link would be yogameditation.com/u.htm. And if on your website you're going to have, say, like a menu item or a button that somebody presses that brings them to that new web page, then you'd use that link and you'd have it linked to that graphic button or to that menu item, so that all of your customers, potential customers, could go to that website. So once all these files have uploaded, you'll be able to see them again on the right-hand screen. And do make sure that they are at your root directory, unless you know how to modify the files so that they can go to a subfolder. But if you follow the instructions that I've given, just as we've seen in the video, what you should be able to do then is just minimize FTP Commander, and then you can enter in that string, spiralstars.com/u, and you should see this page appear. It should all be in place. The video should be showing. You should have the little menu tab here, the home tab, and all of this should reflect and update the correct information so that you keep all of the traffic on your website, and also all of the transactions, all of the purchase links should work. So if somebody actually clicks on a Buy Now button, then that will be completely tracked and deposited into your affiliate account. Now, again, when you make a sale, the way that it usually works with TradeBit is that TradeBit registers the sale, and they put your commission into a special account, and this adds up, and then after 1 week from the transaction, they send you the amounts paid to your PayPal account. Now, you need to set up your own PayPal account in your affiliate account setup, but you should have done that in the first video. The other thing I wanted to mention too is that on this page are a series of videos. Now, these videos are being housed directly on YouTube, and they're only referencing the YouTube video clips. So this will not increase bandwidth on your server, and that's really a huge plus. So that's pretty much it. The last thing that we're going to cover just really quickly is about the menu tab, and we're not going to worry about modifying or extending the menu tab on this page until a fair bit later, but I want to show you basically how it's done so that you have an idea when we do come back to it. But we're going to go over this twice. We're going to go over it once now and then a second time later. So I want you to come back into the folder that you had on your local hard drive, and you'll see there's a file at the bottom that says umenu.txt. Click on that, right click on it, and go open with Notepad. And this is really easy to do. You can choose to do it if you want, or you can pass it off to your tech support person. We can also work with you on this, but if you actually have, if we have the available time to support you with the actual, edits on your website, probably a fee will be required, and we'll also have to get FTP access to your site. But this is all stuff that you can do on your own, and we suggest and recommend that you give it a shot. This file, umenu.txt, is just snippets of code, HTML code, that let you modify your menu tab on your page offering, in your web page, the self-actualization page. So let's just take a look at the original file that we just uploaded, u.htm. So remember, u.htm is this page. And this page only has the one item on its menu. So we want to open this page in our text editor where we would normally make changes to it. So we can click on it on u.htm, right with your mouse, right click with your mouse, open with Notepad, and then maximize that. Go to Edit, Find, and type in Home, and find next, and you'll see that it jumps directly to the HTML line of code in the file that is dealing with the current menu in the menu tab. Now you'll notice that there's only one line here for your menu tab because there's only one menu item, and it begins with the tag LI. So if we want to increase the size of our menu, we have to put more menu tabs there. And the way that we do that is we go back to our menu, our umenu.txt file. And I've just put a description at the top. It says 4-page entitled u.htm, used below code with modifications to extend the top menu bar and customize it for your website. Simply replace the domain of soundofstars.org with yours. So this is the menu structure that creates our menu tab. But you'll notice that each of these has our soundofstars.org site in it. And each one of these HTML lines corresponds to our actual menu. So let's just go back really quickly. So this is how it appears currently on your website. There's just the one selection, home. But on the original Sound of Stars site, this menu selection has all of these tabs. And all of these tabs, like we said before, points to an individual web page. But that individual web page is currently only on the soundofstars.org site. We have not yet downloaded, edited it, and then uploaded it to your website, but we will do that shortly in the future. And I just want to show you how that works. What we're really going to have to do functionally is we're going to have to download more additional files from the Sound of Stars server that we have not yet done. But I will be stepping you through that in upcoming videos. So we don't want to activate these yet because we haven't actually downloaded them to your computer, had you edit them, and then uploaded it back to your server yet. That's why we haven't enabled it. But I wanted to show you again how this basically works. So each of these tabs that we see here is the same thing that's in the umenu.txt file. So you see home, and we also have about, and we also have tour. So these are the names of the menu tabs. How it works. So what you're actually going to do is you're going to download the web pages, which are these, about.htm, tour.htm, and you're going to store all of these HTML files on your server. But we haven't done that yet. But when you have downloaded it, then we're going to change this to your domain name. So let's just see what it looks like when we actually add something. I'm going to select only this text. So I highlight it with my mouse. And then I go edit, copy, and then I'm going to come back down to u.htm. And this is where my current menu is. I only have the one line. And I'm going to paste right underneath it more menu items. Now I'm actually going to make an error in here on purpose. You see how we've got home, but we've also got that repeated here. You're welcome to change this menu structure. You can have the menu tabs say whatever you want. If you want to change the name of the menu tab or how it actually visually appears on your website, then you would select this text and type in whatever you want the name of the tab to be. And then in this section, you put the link of whatever the page is that you want that menu tab to jump to. And you can have it again, say whatever you want, but we're going to leave it as a default. However, this menu does have a limitation in how long and how wide entries can be. So if you have too many entries, an error like a wraparound visual error will occur, or if you make your name too long, an error will occur. So we're just going to do this so that a visual error occurs. So I've just pasted in my extra menu items here. and I'm going to go File, Save, and I'm going to go back to FTP Commander. I'm just going to click in the menu to deselect the current selection in the local hard drive. I'm going to disconnect. Sometimes think that your server connection will time out, so if you haven't used it for a while and you go to access it, it might say, give you an error message like, you have to reconnect. So I just disconnect sometimes, to avoid that. So Spiral Stars, again, is our working example, so I'm going to double click on Spiral Stars. And I'm going to go to my root folder, which is public_HTML. Now I want to replace this file, the u.htm, with the file that I just updated and edited, which is this one. So I want this file to replace this file on the remote server. So I select the file on my local drive that I just edited and saved, and I'm going to upload it here. And it's going to ask me if I want to overwrite it. This file already exists, so I'm going to say yes, overwrite. So it'll upload it. And then once it's done, I'll minimize FTP Commander. And I want to check the active page on the example working site and see if it's actually operating. So this is how it looked. This was our working example, but I just pasted those menu items. So this is the working example link. So this would be your website domain and the web page name. So I'm going to refresh that and watch what happens. So you'll see that the menu has extended. We have all these extra menu options there, and if I were to click on any of them, I could access, the related web page. And you'll notice in the lower left corner of the screen here, when I click on a menu tab, just watch when I'm going to hover my mouse over a menu tab, and when I do, look in this area here, because you'll see the name of the page it's referencing. So when I click on About, so where I hover, don't click on it, but I hover over it, it will show the actual name of the page in the lower left screen. But I did an error here on purpose. You see we have two, home, but the inclusion of more than the original number of tabs has wrapped it around. And you can see there's like a little black thing down here. It's wrapped around. It's a visual error. Functionally, it'll still work. It just doesn't look very pretty. When you're working at this, if you're trying to modify or edit this menu structure, if this sort of thing occurs, all it simply means is that you need to either reduce the length of a menu tab description because it's too long. So for instance, you could change information to read only info, or it means you're trying to add too many tabs because it has a limitation visually on how wide or how many tabs can be there, how wide or how long the actual menu tab names can be. And for right now, we don't want to add these because we haven't yet added these pages to it, but you now know how to do that. So once we have got you to the next step where we've actually downloaded these pages, done your edits, and uploaded them back to your server, then you can go in and add this entire menu structure, and then you'd replace this with your current domain name. So I'm just going to delete this, not in the menu text file, but I'm going to go back to my original u.htm file, and I'm going to just delete these entries, highlight them and delete them, and then I'm going to go File, Save, and back to FTP Commander. And again, I want to replace the current server version with my updated version. So I click on it, and I choose the right arrow key. It asks if I want to overwrite it, and I'll say yes. And I want to check and just see if those came through. So this is what it looked like. This is the one that had the error on it, but I've made my updates. And I can hit refresh. and it'll just take a second. And there I'm back to just the one menu tab, which should only be pointing to my website. And sometimes it might take a second just for the graphics to refresh and renew, depending on how fast your internet connection is. And that's it. By now, by the end of this video, you should have had your affiliate account set up, and you should now have your first product page offering set up. Now, one last thing. This link, this one here, if you have, say you have a website, and you want to link to this document on your main website. Let's say that it was, so say you've got an herbal website of some kind, and you want to market Sound of Stars frequencies, and you're putting your first page up. So you might pick a graphic on your web page, using the method that you use right now to edit your own stuff, or have your web person do it. Just have like a graphic of some kind, and then you would put that link that we had on there. So what you do is you just put the link that you had from your own site. So in this case, example, spiralstars.com/u.htm onto one of your graphics, and it would just jump there. That's it. You've got your first product offering page up. What I'd suggest is, once you've got the page up, you might want to, in your regular newsletter or however you notify your current existing customer base, to go ahead and check out your new offering. You might send them off a notice, or just let them know of something exciting and fantastic that you wanted to share with them. On the upcoming videos, we're going to be talking about how you can get any of or the rest of the main material of the Sound of Stars webpage on your site, so you can pretty much house and provide any of our content to your members. And also we're going to go over how you can provide the entire catalog directly to your member base. Most of what you've learned now in this video will give you a very clear idea as to how we're going to approach that. And I'm going to be also providing you with different access folders and a different access FTP site to get the rest of the materials down. You can download it and do your edits and then upload it, and you'll be ready to go. Thank you very much for your interest, and I'm looking forward to having your very own Sound of Stars website set up.